Japan. It is one of the leading countries in the car manufacturing world, giving us giants like Toyota, Honda, and Nissan. But today we are not focusing on those names. Instead, we are diving into a car company that's truly unique, especially when you consider how structured usually things are in Japan. We are talking about Mitsuoka, a name you might not be familiar with, but whose cars have a look that, once seen, you're unlikely to forget. Now forget your typical Toyotas and Hondas just for a minute. Mitsuoka is the kind of company that takes a perfectly normal modern car, throws the rulebook out of the window, and turns it into something that looks like it time traveled from the 50s. So how does a company like this even exist, let alone succeed? In this video, we'll look at Mitsuoka's surprising history, their most famous and infamous cars, what they're building today, and the big idea behind their automotive artistry. So what's the deal with Mitsuoka? Well, think of them as a modern-day coach builders. Back in the early days of cars, you would buy a chassis and an engine from one company, and then a specialized coach builder would create a custom body for it. Mitsuoka is basically a modern version of that. They take reliable everyday cars from big names like Nissan, Toyota, or Mazda, strip them down, and then handcraft entirely new retro-styled bodies on top. The goal? To give you the head-turning looks of a classic British roadster, an old American cruiser, or even something that's totally out of this world, but with the comfort, safety, and reliability of a brand new car. Mitsuoka is all about personality and daring to be different in a world of sometimes similar looking cars. So how did it all start? Mitsuoka Motor wasn't born making these wild creations overnight. It was founded by a man named Susumu Mitsuoka back in 1968 in Toyama City. At first, it was a pretty standard car business, repairs and selling used cars. Then, they got into making microcars, like those tiny K-cars that are super popular in Japan, like the little boo-boo Shuttle 50. But Mr. Mitsuoka had bigger dreams. He wanted to build unique cars. Through the 80s, they started to experiment more and more, and then came the huge moment in 1996. Mitsuoka was officially recognized by the Japanese government as the country's 10th car manufacturer. This was a massive deal. It meant their modified cars could be sold as brand new Mitsuoka vehicles. This put them on the map as Japan's most unusual car maker. With their official status, Mitsuoka started rolling out some seriously distinctive cars that really showed what they were capable of. One of the first big head-turners was the Mitsuoka Le-Seyde, which came out in 1990. They took a regular Nissan Silvia S13 and transformed it into this incredible long-nosed flamboyant coupe that looked straight out of a 1930s Hollywood movie. Underneath that dramatic bodywork, it often carried the Silvia's 1.8-liter engine, putting out around 130 horsepower. Later versions of the Le-Seyde were based on the S15 Silvia, and they also got the 2-liter engine, which was good for around 160 horsepower. So, while the car looks like $1 million, its performance was more modest. But with a style like that, who cares? And so, models like the Le-Seyde and the similar Dore really set the tone. Mitsuoka wasn't just tweaking cars. They were completely reimagining them, showing off their coach building skills and their love for the classic automotive style. Over the years, Mitsuoka has built a whole garage full of memorable cars. Some are elegant, some are quirky, and some are just plain wild. Let's start with the Mitsuoka Vute. First appearing in 1993, this is probably their most well-known and longest-running model. It's based on the small Nissan Micra, but styled to look like a classic Jaguar Mark II. Depending on the generation of Micra it was based on, you could find it with the engines ranging from 1 liter to a 1.4 liter, with horsepower typically between 60 to 90. Not exactly a speed demon, but perfect for cruising around town with a touch of class. It's cute, it's classy, and it's been a steady seller for them for years. Then there's the Mitsuoka Galu. This is a bigger and more luxurious sedan. Mitsuoka takes cars like the Nissan Crew or Cedric and gives them a grand, imposing front end that often reminds people of old Bentleys and Rolls-Royces. Engine sizes and power would vary significantly because they were based on the donor car. They were often larger 6 cylinders, providing smooth, ample power for that classic luxury vibe on a more manageable scale. But if you want to see something truly unforgettable, here is the Mitsuoka Orochi. It was showcased in 2001 and then later built from 2006 till 2014. Mitsuoka themselves called it a fashion supercar. This thing is a mid-engine beast, and under that incredibly unique body you will find a Toyota's 3.3-liter V6 engine, producing around 233 horsepower. Performance-wise, from 0 to 100 was around 7 seconds, and top speed was apparently limited to 180 km an hour. So not quite supercar numbers by today's standards, but the Orochi was always more about its jaw-dropping looks. Inspired by an 8-headed Japanese dragon, its design is, well, it's a lot. People either love it or hate it, but you certainly can't ignore it. More recently, back in 2018, they hit another home run with the Mitsuoka Rockstar. They took the modern Mazda MX-5 Miata and restyled it to look like a classic C2 Corvette Stingray. It keeps the Miata's brilliant 1.5-liter engine, which in Japan puts out around 130 horsepower. Given the Miata's light weight, that's plenty. With 0 to 100 in around 8 seconds. The result? Absolutely awesome. And they did a similar thing with the Himiko, also based on MX-5 Miata, but that one looks more like a classic British roadster, sharing similar performance with the Rockstar. So, what are they up to now? Well, Mitsuoka hasn't slowed down a bit. They are still coming out with cool, retro-inspired rides. One of their biggest recent hits is the Mitsuoka Buddy, launched back in 2020. They took a brand new Toyota RAV4 and gave it the face of a classic 80s American SUV, like an old Chevy Blazer. Powertrain options are just like on the RAV4, meaning you can get it with a 2-liter petrol or a 2.5-liter hybrid. And just to show you that they are always thinking, for their 55th anniversary back in 2023, they revealed the Mitsuoka M55 concept. This one is based on the new Honda Civic but styled to look like a classic American muscle car, with strong Dodge Challenger vibes. If it goes into production, expect performance similar to the Civic that it's based on. The reaction was huge. They are actually thinking about making it. It proves people still love these kinds of creative mashups. The newer models show Mitsuoka really knows how to tap into that nostalgia people have for cool old cars, while giving them all the benefits of modern engineering. So, how does a company like Mitsuoka not only survive but also find its fans in today's cars market? Passion. These guys genuinely love classic car designs and want to bring that style to more people. Standing out. Let's face it, a lot of modern cars look alike. A Mitsuoka is for someone who wants to be an individual, to drive something that turns heads and starts conversations. Handcrafted. Even though the base cars are mass-produced, the process of transforming them into a Mitsuoka involves a lot of skilled handiwork. And it's just fun. Mitsuoka gives you a sense of playfulness and joy into their cars that you don't often see. They make you smile. They have found their sweet spot. Cool, unique, retro looks with the peace of mind that comes from modern, reliable mechanics. And performance that's perfectly adequate for making an entrance. It's not for everyone, and that's exactly why it works for those who get it. Mitsuoka is a true original, a fascinating example of a company that plays by its own rules in the often very serious world of car manufacturing. They remind us that cars can be more than just a way to get from A to B. They can be fun, expressive, and a little bit wild. So, what do you think about Mitsuoka? Do you have a favorite model, or are they a bit too much for you? Drop a comment below. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. See you next time.